You did everything right. You worked harder, got promoted, and increased your income. And yet, every month feels strangely familiar. The paycheck arrives, the bills get paid. A few purchases feel justified, then suddenly, it's almost gone. What's disturbing isn't that this happens to people struggling financially. It's that it happens to people earning six figures. People who look successful, people others assume are wealthy. People who, on paper, should be completely fine. So here's the uncomfortable question. If your income keeps rising, why doesn't financial freedom rise with it? What if the feeling of being broke has less to do with how much you make and more to do with a hidden trap that becomes stronger? A trap so common, most high earners don't even realize they're caught in it. And by the time they do, they've spent years running faster without actually moving closer to wealth. Today, we're uncovering why so many high earners still feel broke and the invisible pattern quietly keeping them there. Maybe you've experienced something like this. A few years ago, you told yourself, once I reach that income level, things will finally feel easier. Maybe that number was $60,000 a year. Maybe it was $100,000. Maybe even more. And eventually, you got there. You achieved the goal that once seemed distant. The salary increased, the opportunities improved. Your lifestyle looked better from the outside. But something unexpected happened. The relief never fully arrived. Instead, the target moved, again and again. And again, the things that once felt luxurious became normal. The expenses that once seemed temporary became permanent. And the income that once felt life-changing started feeling ordinary. So now you're caught in a strange position. You know you're earning more than you did years ago. You know you've made progress. You know you've worked hard for it. Yet every time you look ahead, it still feels like you're not quite there. Not wealthy enough, not secure enough, not free enough. And perhaps the most frustrating part is that you can't easily explain why. Because from the outside, everything appears to be working, but internally, there's a growing suspicion that something doesn't add up. That maybe the problem isn't a lack of income. Maybe it's a game you've been taught to play without ever being taught how to win. And once you see that pattern, you start to understand why so many high earners feel trapped. Despite making more money than they ever imagined, this isn't simply a money problem, and it isn't a lack of discipline. In fact, some of the world's most respected thinkers have spent decades trying to understand why human beings struggle to feel satisfied, even after achieving the very things they once desired. The late psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent much of his career studying the gap between what we think will make us happier and what actually does. His research revealed something uncomfortable. Human beings adapt remarkably fast to improvement. The promotion, the house, the higher income. They all become normal. What once felt extraordinary quietly becomes the new baseline. And when the baseline moves, satisfaction moves with it. Investor Charlie Munger often warned that comparison is one of the most destructive forces in human decision-making. Because success is rarely measured in absolute terms. It's measured against other people, other lifestyles, other achievements, which means a person can double their income and still feel behind, not because they're poor, but because the finish line keeps moving. And thinker Nassim Nicholas Taleb pointed out that modern life creates a dangerous illusion. The more success we achieve, the more we depend on it. What starts as ambition can slowly transform into dependency. A dependency on the next raise, the next investment gain, the next financial milestone. And that is where this topic becomes much deeper than personal finance. Because the real question isn't, why do high earners spend so much? The real question is, why can someone achieve what they once dreamed of and still feel as though they haven't arrived? To answer that, we need to look beyond income itself and examine the invisible psychological forces shaping our relationship with money and success. But what if there's something even more surprising? What if the reason many high earners feel broke isn't because they're making the wrong decisions? What if they're responding exactly as the human brain was designed to respond? Think about that for a moment. What if the very instincts that helped our ancestors survive are quietly sabotaging financial contentment in the modern world? What if the feeling that you're not quite there yet isn't evidence that you're falling behind, but evidence that your brain keeps redefining what there means? And if that's true, then a much bigger question emerges. How many of your financial goals are actually yours? And how many were planted there by comparison? Because if your definition of success has been quietly shaped by forces you never noticed, then reaching the next income level may not solve the problem. It may simply create a more expensive version of the same frustration. And once you understand the hidden mechanism, you see why some people earn 10 times more than a decade ago, yet still experience the same anxiety. The question is, what is that hidden mechanism? And more importantly, if it's operating in your life right now, would you even recognize it? Because the answer changes the way you think about money, success, and wealth itself. Most people believe there's a specific income level that will finally make them feel financially comfortable. The assumption sounds reasonable. Once I earn more, the stress will disappear. But that's often where the illusion begins. Higher income does not automatically create wealth. It often creates a larger financial ecosystem that demands even more income to sustain. Imagine someone earning $50,000 per year. For years, they dream about earning $100,000. They believe that doubling their income will create breathing room. Then it happens. The promotion arrives. The salary doubles. A better neighborhood, a newer vehicle, more subscriptions, more commitments, more expectations. A few years later, their income is dramatically higher. Yet the feeling of financial pressure remains strangely familiar. The problem wasn't the income. The problem was assuming wealth is created by earning more rather than keeping more. As income rises, lifestyle often expands to absorb the difference. Not all at once, gradually, almost invisibly. And because each increase feels justified, the individual rarely notices the trap forming. The first reason high earners still feel broke is simple: their income grew. Their definition of normal grew with it, but lifestyle inflation is only part of the story. Because something even more powerful happens after income rises. Something that quietly changes how success itself is measured. What if the real problem isn't your paycheck, but your target? The closer people get to a financial goal, the faster they create a new one. A professional spends 10 years trying to reach a six-figure income. For years, that milestone represents success. Then one day, they achieve it. For a brief moment, there's satisfaction, pride, relief. But soon another thought appears. What about $200,000? The finish line moves again. This is one of the psychological patterns that fascinated Daniel Kahneman. Human beings adapt quickly to improvement. What once felt extraordinary becomes expected. What once felt abundant becomes ordinary. The brain doesn't compare today with 10 years ago. It compares today with whatever it currently believes should happen next. If success is always defined by the next milestone, success can never be experienced in the present. And once the finish line starts moving, another force quietly enters the picture. A force Charlie Munger warned about repeatedly: comparison. Most people think they're buying products. Often, they're buying signals. The desire for status can quietly consume income faster than almost any financial mistake. A successful executive upgrades their car, not because the previous vehicle failed, not because transportation was the problem, because everyone around them upgraded first. Soon the neighborhood changes. The vacations change, the expectations change. And each decision feels reasonable in isolation. Together, they create a lifestyle that requires constant maintenance. Charlie Munger often observed that envy is one of humanity's strongest emotions. The challenge isn't that people want more. The challenge is that comparison has no natural endpoint. There will always be someone earning more, saving more, owning more. And when comparison becomes the measuring stick, even impressive financial success can feel inadequate. The wealthiest person in the room isn't necessarily the one spending the most. Often, it's the person least concerned with proving anything. But even if you escape lifestyle inflation, and even if you escape comparison, there remains one final trap that catches many high earners. A trap disguised as responsibility itself. At first, making more money feels like gaining freedom. More choices, more flexibility, more control. But for many high earners, something unexpected happens. The more they accumulate, the more they fear losing it. Beyond a certain point, higher income doesn't always reduce anxiety. Sometimes, it simply changes what people are anxious about. Consider two people. One earns a modest income and worries about paying next month's bills. The other earns several times more. They own a larger home, they have investments, retirement accounts, college funds, insurance policies, a lifestyle that appears completely secure. From the outside, the second person seems far less stressed, but internally, a different fear has emerged. What if the market crashes? What if I lose my position? The fear isn't survival anymore. It's preservation. This is the security paradox. As wealth increases, responsibilities often increase with it. The stakes feel larger, the obligations feel heavier. The consequences of mistakes appear more significant. And because human beings are naturally more sensitive to losses than gains, protecting what we have can become psychologically more powerful than enjoying what we've achieved. Author Nassim Taleb frequently highlights a truth many people overlook. Fragility grows when your lifestyle becomes dependent on conditions remaining perfect. A high income can create comfort, but if that comfort requires constant maintenance, can also create vulnerability. Without realizing it, some high earners become trapped. Not by a lack of money, but by the fear of losing the life their money created. At this stage, the goal is no longer earning more. The goal becomes protecting what already exists. And that's why some people with substantial incomes still feel financially uneasy. Not because they have too little, but because they believe they can no longer afford to move backward. Which leads to an even deeper question. If more income doesn't guarantee contentment and more possessions don't guarantee security, then what actually creates the feeling that enough is enough? Because the answer separates people who merely earn well from those who genuinely feel wealthy. After everything we've explored, a surprising truth begins to emerge. Most people spend years trying to earn more without ever defining what enough actually means, and that creates a dangerous problem. Because if enough is never defined, it can never be reached. Wealth is not only a financial number. It's the ability to know when additional income stops improving your life in meaningful ways. Imagine two individuals, both earn the same high income. Both have similar careers, both have similar opportunities. The first person believes happiness exists one promotion away, one investment away, one milestone away. The second person once thought the same way. But eventually, they asked a different question. Instead of asking, "How much more can I earn?" they began asking, "How much is enough for the life I actually want?" That single question changed everything, because for the first time the target stopped moving. Many high earners unconsciously pursue money as a substitute for certainty. More income feels like more protection, more options, more control. But absolute certainty never arrives. There is always another risk, another opportunity, another comparison, another reason to delay satisfaction. The people who ultimately feel wealthy often discover something different. They stop measuring life exclusively through accumulation and begin measuring it through alignment. Alignment between money and values. Alignment between work and purpose. Alignment between ambition and peace of mind. Because wealth without clarity creates hunger. But wealth combined with clarity creates freedom. The highest level of financial success isn't reaching a number. It's reaching a point where money becomes a tool. Instead of a scoreboard, a point where income serves your life, rather than your life serving income. And perhaps that's why so many high earners still feel broke. Not because they lack money, not because they lack discipline, not because they lack success, but because they never paused long enough to answer one simple question. What would be enough? Because the moment you can answer that honestly, the race that once controlled you begins to lose its power. And for many people, that is the first moment they truly begin to feel wealthy. The irony is that most people spend decades chasing financial freedom, only to discover that freedom was never hiding in the next paycheck. It was hiding in their definition of enough, and once that definition becomes clear, money stops being a source of constant pressure and starts becoming what it was always meant to be, a tool for building a meaningful life. That may be the most valuable return on investment of all. But there is one final realization, one that sits beneath every principle we've discussed. And once you see it, it's difficult to unsee. Most people believe they're chasing money. They're not. Money is simply the visible target. The deeper pursuit is something else entirely. They're chasing a feeling. The feeling that they have finally made it. The feeling that they are safe. The feeling that they are respected. The feeling that they matter. And this is where the trap becomes almost invisible. Because feelings cannot be deposited into a bank account. No amount of income can permanently deliver them. For a moment. Yes, for a lifetime. No, which means many high earners spend years solving a financial problem that was never financial in the first place. They seek security through accumulation. But what they're really seeking is certainty. They seek status through success. But what they're really seeking is significance. They seek freedom through income. But what they're really seeking is peace. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The human mind has a remarkable ability to turn today's solution into tomorrow's requirement. What once felt like abundance becomes expectation. What once felt like success becomes normal. What once felt like freedom becomes maintenance. That's why the race feels endless, not because there is no finish line, but because the finish line was never located in money. It was located in self-perception. And as long as a person believes, I will finally be enough when, the race continues. When I earn more, when I invest more, when I own more, when I achieve more, the destination keeps moving. Because the mind keeps attaching enough to the next condition. But the people who genuinely feel wealthy eventually discover something different. They stop asking, how much more do I need? And start asking, why do I believe I need more before I can feel complete? That question changes everything. Because it shifts the search from the outside world to the inside one. And perhaps the deepest irony of all is that many people spend their lives pursuing wealth, only to discover that the thing they were truly searching for could never be purchased. It had to be understood. And once that understanding arrives, wealth is no longer measured by what you own. It is measured by how little your peace depends on owning more. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about wealth is that we spend most of our lives viewing it as something that exists ahead of us. One more achievement, one more promotion, one more milestone, one more year. And because of that, many people become so focused on building a life that they forget to live it. The ancient philosophers often reminded us that a person's life is not measured by what they accumulate, but by the quality of their relationship with what they already possess. Because ownership is easy, appreciation is rare. More money can purchase comfort. It can purchase convenience. It can purchase options. But it cannot purchase contentment. Contentment begins the moment a person stops treating the present as a waiting room for the future. And perhaps that is why some people feel poor despite having so much, while others feel rich with far less. The difference is rarely found in a bank account. It is found in perspective. Because sooner or later, every one of us arrives at the same realization. Time is the only currency that never replenishes. And when viewed from the end of life, the question is unlikely to be, did I earn enough? The deeper question may be, did I recognize enough when it was already in front of me? So as you move forward, continue building, continue growing, continue pursuing meaningful goals. But don't forget to occasionally look around. Because there is a profound difference between striving for more and postponing your life until more arrives. And maybe true wealth begins the moment you understand that success is not the ability to endlessly increase your standard of living, but the ability to increase your appreciation of being alive. After all, the richest person is not necessarily the one who has the most. It may simply be the one who finally understands when enough has become enough. If this video gave you a new perspective on money and helped you see wealth through a deeper lens, take a moment to support the channel. Click the like button and subscribe to the Wealth Compass, because every week we explore the hidden psychology of money, the habits that shape financial outcomes, and the timeless principles that help people build not only wealth, but a life of greater clarity and purpose. And before you go, consider this. What if the greatest threats to your financial future aren't dramatic mistakes? What if they're small habits, so ordinary, so socially accepted, that you barely notice them happening? Habits that quietly drain wealth year after year. Habits that feel harmless today, but become incredibly expensive over a decade. In our next video, we'll uncover 8 silent money habits that slowly destroy your wealth after 40. and chances are, at least one of them is affecting people you know, perhaps even you. The most surprising part, many of these habits are often mistaken for signs of financial success, which means the very behaviors that make people feel wealthier today may be preventing them from becoming wealthier tomorrow. You won't want to miss that one. Until next time, keep moving toward true wealth with wisdom, intention, and purpose. And one final thought before you leave. The habit costing you the most money right now may not feel like a mistake at all. In fact, it may be the one you're most proud of. Think about that. I'll show you exactly what I mean in the next video.